The rain hammered the fire escape like 1,000 tiny accusations, each drop a reminder of the lies we'd buried under silk sheets and stolen kisses. Isaiah's hand trembled on the doorknob. His eyes, those deep brown pools that had once drowned me in promises, now stormy with something sharper, something that cut. "You think you can just walk away after everything?" he spat, voice cracking like thunder, shoving me back against the rusted metal railing until my breath hitched in my throat. I grabbed his wrist, the heat of his skin searing through the wet fabric of his shirt, pulling him closer even as my heart screamed to run. "Elijah," he whispered, the name a plea wrapped in fury, and in that instant, the world narrowed to the salt of his tears mixing with the downpour on my lips. The city below us pulsed with indifferent life. Honking taxis slicing through the deluge on 8th Avenue. Neon signs flickering like faulty memories in the gathering dusk. Isaiah and I had met 2 years ago in a dive bar off Times Square. The kind where the air smelled of stale beer and broken dreams, and the jukebox played Springsteen like it was gospel. I was nursing a whiskey neat, fresh off a brutal shift at the graphic design firm in Midtown, sketching logos for brands that peddled happiness they couldn't deliver. He slid onto the stool next to me, all easy swagger and that lopsided grin, ordering a gin and tonic with a wink that said he knew exactly how to unravel a man. "You're drawing the skyline wrong," he'd said, leaning in too close, his breath warm against my ear. "Missed the gargoyles on the Chrysler Building. They're the real monsters here." I laughed. God, that laugh felt foreign now, and handed him the napkin sketch. Our fingers brushed, and electricity sparked, the kind that doesn't fade with hangovers or heartbreak. By closing time, we were tangled in the back alley, his hands fisting my shirt, my back against the brick wall slick with summer sweat. That was Isaiah, bold, unapologetic, the storm that sweeps in and rearranges your furniture without asking. We moved fast after that. He was a barista by day, aspiring playwright by night, crashing in a walk-up in Hell's Kitchen with 3 roommates who chain-smoked on the stoop. I had a shoebox apartment in Chelsea, rent-stabilized but haunted by the ghosts of exes who'd left post-its instead of goodbyes. Our first real date was Coney Island in the off-season, boardwalk empty except for us, sharing cotton candy that stuck to our lips like sweet lies. He kissed me under the cyclone, the rusted tracks groaning overhead, and whispered, "You're the plot twist I didn't see coming, Elijah." I fell hard. Harder than I'd planned. Isaiah had this way of seeing you, really seeing you, peeling back the layers of sarcasm and self-doubt until you were raw and real. We'd spend Sundays tangled in my sheets, him reading lines from his half-finished scripts while I traced the tattoos snaking up his arms, a phoenix on his bicep, flames curling like forgotten regrets, a compass on his forearm, pointing nowhere in particular. "For when I get lost in you," he'd joke, but his eyes said it was truth. Life in the city wasn't kind to dreamers like us. My job chewed me up, endless deadlines, a boss who mistook micromanaging for mentorship, and Isaiah's plays kept getting rejected by off-Broadway theaters that wouldn't know talent if it tap-danced naked on their stages. But we had each other. Nights when the fridge was empty, we'd split a pizza from the corner spot, laughing over bootleg wine until the world felt conquerable. He'd pull me onto the fire escape, stars hidden behind light pollution, and we'd talk about escaping to the Hudson Valley someday, building a cabin where scripts wrote themselves and designs flowed like the river. It was perfect, or close enough, until Marcus. Marcus was the new creative director at the firm, transferred from LA with a tan that screamed privilege and a smile that could charm a boardroom or a bedroom. He was older, mid-30s, salt and pepper hair, the kind of guy who wore bespoke suits unironically. Our first team-building happy hour, he cornered me by the craft beer taps, clinking glasses with a toast to unleashing the artist within. His eyes lingered too long, that predatory glint making my skin crawl even as it flattered. "You're wasted here, Elijah," he said, voice low and laced with bourbon. "I see fire in your sketches. Come to my office Monday. We'll talk real opportunities." I nodded, polite, but Isaiah saw through it when I recounted the night over takeout Thai. "Sounds like a shark in loafers," he muttered. Chopsticks paused midair. "Just don't let him nibble." I laughed it off. But Monday came, and Marcus's office was a corner suite with Hudson views, the kind of space that whispered power. He poured scotch, single malt, aged longer than my lease, and spread my portfolio across his desk like a treasure map. "This," he tapped a moody cityscape I'd done on spec. "This is you. Raw. Honest. Let's collaborate on the next campaign. Late nights. Sure. But it'll be worth it." The late nights started innocently. Brainstorming sessions that bled into midnight. Takeout sushi unrolling like forbidden scrolls. Marcus had a way of making you feel seen, valued in a city that chewed up artists and spat out baristas. Isaiah noticed the hours, the exhaustion etching lines under my eyes, but I brushed it off. "Big break, babe. This could be it." One night, 3 weeks in, the office empty save for the hum of fluorescence, Marcus leaned across the conference table, his hand brushing mine as he adjusted a mock-up. "You're brilliant, Elijah. And beautiful." His thumb traced my knuckle, slow and deliberate, sending a jolt I hadn't felt since Isaiah first touched me. I pulled back, heart hammering, but the damage was done, the seed of temptation planted in fertile soil of flattery and fatigue. Guilt gnawed at me like a rat in the walls. I came home reeking of his cologne, a citrus bite that clung like accusation. Isaiah was waiting, script pages scattered on the futon, his eyes narrowing as I shrugged off my coat. "Rough one?" he asked, voice neutral but laced with that edge I knew too well. "Yeah. Deadlines." I kissed his temple, tasting the lie on my tongue, and he softened, pulling me down beside him. We made love that night, urgent and reclaiming, his body a map I knew by heart. But even as he gasped my name, Marcus's whisper echoed, "Beautiful." The betrayal simmered, unspoken. Isaiah threw himself into a new play, a queer retelling of Romeo and Juliet set in the subways, while I buried myself in work, stealing glances at Marcus across the bullpen. He invited me to a gallery opening in Soho. Networking, he called it, and I went, telling Isaiah it was a client dinner. The art was abstract swirls of color, evoking the chaos of desire, and Marcus's hand found the small of my back amid the chattering elite. One glass of Pinot turned to 3, and suddenly we were in a cab, his thigh pressed against mine, the city lights blurring into streaks of temptation. "Your place," he murmured, "and God help me." I nodded. The elevator ride up to his Tribeca loft was silent torture, his fingers interlacing with mine like it was natural. Inside, it was all exposed brick and Eames chairs, a world away from our cramped chaos. He kissed me then, slow and sure, tasting of wine and wrongness. I melted into it, hands roaming, the phoenix on Isaiah's arm fading in my mind. We tumbled to the rug, clothes shedding like old skin, his body lean and demanding. It was fire hot, consuming but hollow, like a script without soul. After lying spent and staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, regret crashed over me like a wave. Marcus traced lazy circles on my chest, murmuring about weekends in the Hamptons, but all I heard was Isaiah's laugh, his whisper in the dark, "You're my plot twist." I slipped out before dawn, hailing a cab in the gray light, the city waking to judge me. Home was a war zone waiting, Isaiah's side of the bed cold, a note on the counter, audition ran late. Love you. Breakfast. My hands shook as I brewed coffee, the steam rising like ghosts. Weeks blurred into a tightrope walk. Marcus pushed for more. Lunches that lingered, touches that tested, and I danced the edge, pulled by ambition and the thrill of being wanted. Isaiah sensed the fracture, his touches growing tentative, questions sharper. "Who's got you smiling at your phone like that?" he'd tease, but hurt flickered in his eyes. Then came the night that shattered it all. A cast party for Isaiah's audition, a gritty theater in the village, packed with actors nursing cheap Merlot and dreams. I was late, stuck at the office with Marcus's urgent revision, his hand on my thigh under the desk until I shrugged it off. By the time I arrived, the room spun with laughter and smoke, Isaiah holding court by the makeshift bar, his charisma a beacon. He spotted me, grin widening, and pulled me into a kiss that tasted of victory. He'd landed the lead. "To us," he toasted, clinking plastic cups, but his eyes searched mine, finding the shadows I couldn't hide. We danced, bodies swaying to an indie track thrumming from a Bluetooth speaker, the crowd a blur. But Marcus texted, "Miss you already. Come over after?" I silenced it, but Isaiah felt the buzz against his hip, my pocket. "Work?" he asked, pulling back. "Yeah. Lie number infinity." The party wound down, and we stumbled into the rain-slicked streets, arms linked, the city a watercolor of lights. Back at my place, soaked and shivering, he pushed me into the bathtub, the porcelain cold against my back, water cascading hot from the faucet. He stripped us both, efficient and tender, then slid in behind me, his chest to my spine, legs bracketing mine. The steam rose, thick and forgiving, and he leaned close, lips brushing my ear. "You're slipping away," he whispered daringly, leaving me breathless and furious. "Tell me who he is, Elijah, before I lose you for good." My heart seized, the water lapping like accusations. I twisted to face him, droplets tracing paths down his face, mirroring the tears I couldn't hold back. "It's nothing," I choked, but his eyes, God, those eyes knew. The fight erupted then, words flying like shrapnel, my defensiveness, his pain, the betrayal spilling out in fragments. I saw the texts. "Elijah, the late nights. Who is he?" Isaiah roared, standing abruptly, water sluicing off his body like shed trust. "Marcus. From work. It was one time." "I'm sorry. One time," he laughed, bitter and broken, towel snapping as he wrapped it around his waist. "You've been a ghost for weeks. I pour my soul into this play, into us, and you're fucking your boss for a pat on the head." I climbed out, slipping on the tile, reaching for him. "It's not like that." He sees me, sees my work. "You know how hard it's been." "So do I." Isaiah's voice cracked, fists clenched. "But I don't run to someone else's bed when it gets tough." "God, Elijah, I thought we were endgame. He stormed out, door slamming like finality, leaving me in the steam-choked bathroom, naked and alone. The mirror fogged over, erasing my reflection, but not the guilt etched into my bones. Dawn crept in like a thief, gray light filtering through the blinds, mocking the wreckage of the night. I hadn't slept, couldn't, with Isaiah's words looping in my head, each one a fresh bruise. The apartment felt cavernous without him, his script pages still scattered on the coffee table like abandoned confessions. I brewed coffee on autopilot, black and bitter, scrolling through texts I shouldn't. Marcus's last night was magic. Dinner tonight? Deleted unread. Work was a minefield. I arrived early, burying myself in revisions, but Marcus sauntered in at 10, all charm and coffee breath, leaning over my cubicle wall. Rough night? You look like hell. Handsome. His fingers grazed my shoulder. Casual possession. I flinched. Busy. Let's keep it professional. He chuckled, low and knowing. Playing hard to get now? After. After was a mistake. The words tasted like ash, but saying them aloud cracked something open. Relief, or just the start of unraveling? Marcus's face tightened, that LA smile slipping. Mistake? You didn't seem to think so when you were clawing my back. He straightened, voice dropping. Fine. But don't come crying when the next big project goes to someone hungrier. The threat hung, but I held his gaze. I won't. By lunch, the office buzzed with whispers. Marcus pitching his golden boy, a slick junior designer who'd accidentally CC'd the team on my subpar drafts. My inbox filled with passive-aggressive notes, my confidence fracturing like cheap glass. I texted Isaiah, "Can we talk? Please." No reply. His socials stayed silent, a void where his usual quips lived. Desperation drove me to Hell's Kitchen that evening, the walk-up's buzzer mocking with static. His roommate, Lena, a fiery actress with purple hair, answered, eyes narrowing through the intercom. He's not here, Elijah. And even if he was, he'd tell you to fuck off. Lena, please. Just tell him I love him. That I'm done with it all. She sighed, the door buzzing open reluctantly. The apartment reeked of weed and takeout, scripts taped to the fridge like talismans. Isaiah wasn't there, but his presence lingered. A half-empty coffee mug, his phoenix tattoo sketched on a napkin. Lena crossed her arms, hip-cocked. You broke him, you know. He's at rehearsal, pretending like the world's not ending. Fix this, or don't come back. Rehearsal was at the tiny black box in the East Village, a converted warehouse where dreams went to sweat. I hovered outside, rain starting again, a pathetic figure in the shadows. Through the grimy window, I watched him, Isaiah on stage, delivering lines with that raw fire. Juliet to a brooding Romeo, subways rumbling beneath their feet in the script. He moved like poetry, vulnerable and fierce, and my chest ached with the waste of it, us unraveling over ambition's altar. The director called break, and Isaiah stepped out for air, spotting me instantly. His face, pale, shadowed, twisted in a war of emotions. What the hell? Elijah? Stalking now? I had to see you. I stepped closer, rain mingling with the tears I blinked back. Last night. Panicked. It wasn't just one time. Okay, but it's over. Marcus is nothing compared to you. He barked a laugh. Hollow. Nothing? Then why risk us? For what? A promotion? Validation from some suit who'll drop you for the next pretty face? It's not that simple. My voice rose, frustration boiling. You write your truths, Isaiah. I design illusions for a living. Marcus made me feel like my illusions mattered. And I don't. Hurt flashed, raw and red. He raked a hand through his curls, rain spiking them wild. Every night, I read to you, bare my soul, and you tune out for emails. God, Elijah, I thought we were building something real. Was. I reached for him, but he stepped back. The distance a chasm. Let me fix it. Come home. He shook his head, eyes glistening. Home? You made it a lie. I need space. Rehearsals killing me. And this, he gestured between us. It's killing what's left. The director poked his head out. Isaiah, 5 minutes. He turned, pausing at the door. Write me a letter. If you can put into words why I should believe you. Maybe. Then he was gone, swallowed by the theater's dim glow, leaving me in the downpour, soaked to the soul. That letter became my confessional, scrawled on the back of a pizza box at 3 a.m., words spilling like vomit. Isaiah, you're the skyline I redraw every night, the gargoyles and all. Marcus was a detour, a fool's gold rush. But you're home. Forgive me, or don't, but know I see you now. All of you. I slipped it under his door at dawn, fleeing before Lena could spot me. Work devolved into sabotage. Marcus sidelining me on projects, whispers of unreliable floating like poison gas. I poured that rage into a spec piece, a gritty poster series for Isaiah's play, subways twisting into lovers' knots, betrayal rendered in stark blacks and desperate reds. It was my olive branch, my proof. Isaiah's silence stretched into days, a torture of unanswered calls and ghosted DMs. Then, the audition callback, he'd nailed it, principal role in a workshop production. Lena texted, he's a mess, but the letter hit. Give him time. Hope flickered, fragile as a match in wind. We met at our spot, the Coney Boardwalk, autumn crisp now, the cyclone a skeletal sentinel. He arrived bundled in a wool coat, hands shoved deep, breath fogging the air. Read it 10 times, he said by way of hello, voice rough. Hurt like hell, but honest. Exhaled, world tilting back on axis. I meant every word. We walked, shoulders brushing tentative, the ocean's roar drowning our awkward silences. He stopped by the pier, waves crashing like unresolved chords. I get it, Elijah. The city's a grinder. But us? We're not disposable. No, I took his hand, cold fingers lacing warm. You're not. The kiss was salt and forgiveness, tentative at first, then deepening, the boardwalk fading to just us. Back at my place, we moved slow, exploring like rediscovery, his tattoos a braille of memory under my lips. Promise me, he murmured against my neck. No more detours. Promise. And in that steam-fogged bathroom mirror later, our reflections overlapped, whole again. But peace is fleeting in New York. Marcus's revenge brewed, a leaked email chain, my inappropriate texts twisted into harassment claims. HR called me in, the spec pieces borrowed for his portfolio. You're out, Elijah, they said, severance a pittance. Rage boiled, but Isaiah was there that night, script in hand. Screw them. We'll write our own story. Unemployment hit like a subway derailment. Sudden, chaotic, leaving me bruised and spinning. Mornings blurred into job hunts. LinkedIn profiles polished to lies. Cover letters pleading for second chances. Isaiah's workshop rehearsals consumed his days. But nights were ours. Curled on the futon. Him reading lines while I sketched freelance pitches. "This one's you," I'd say, handing him a doodle of a playwright mid-soliloquy, words exploding like fireworks. He'd laugh. "That sound a bomb," pulling me close. My muse, yet doubt lingered, a shadow in the corners. Marcus's face haunted my dreams. Smug, victorious, and Isaiah's trust, though mending, frayed at the edges. One evening, post-rehearsal glow fading, he found me staring at my phone, a rejection email glaring. "Hey," he said softly, chin on my shoulder. "You're more than their nose." I turned, kissing him fierce. "And you're my yes." Intimacy rebuilt us, brick by careful brick. We'd experiment, slow dances in the kitchen to Coltrane records borrowed from the library, his hands guiding mine over guitar strings he swore he'd master. Or lazy afternoons in Washington Square Park, feeding pigeons crusts while he workshopped scenes aloud, my feedback sharpening his edges. "You're brutal," he'd groan, but eyes sparkling. Perfect. The play's first table read was a milestone. A cramped conference room in a midtown nonprofit space, funded by grants and grit. Isaiah shone. His Juliet a fierce transit worker. Romeo a cop with a badge and a broken moral compass. The director, a no-nonsense queer woman named Rita, clapped him on the back post read. "Kid, you've got it. This could go fringe." After, we celebrated at a dim Irish pub, Guinness flowing like ink. Isaiah raised his pint, foam clinging to his mustache shadow. "To plot twists that don't suck," clinked, warmth spreading. To us, but Marcus's ghost resurfaced via a mutual contact, a snide LinkedIn message. "Heard you crashed and burned. My door's open if you beg nicely." Delete. Block. Still festered, poisoning freelance gigs that dried up overnight. Whispers in the design community painted me unreliable, and bills piled like accusations. Isaiah noticed the strain. My pacing at midnight, sketches crumpled in the trash. "Talk to me," he'd urge, fingers combing my hair. "It's nothing. Just the grind." Bullshit. One night, after a particularly brutal turndown, he pulled me onto the fire escape. City hum below. "Elijah, we're in this. Remember the cabin dream? Hudson Valley. No suits. No stages, just us. Writing our rules." I leaned into him, the metal cold under my palms. "Yeah. Soon," but soon stretched. Rita pushed Isaiah harder rewrites, staging experiments, and his energy waned, dark circles blooming. I'd wake to him at the kitchen table, red pen slashing pages, coffee cold. "Can't get the betrayal scene right," he'd mutter. "Feels too real." Irony bit deep. Our own fracture fueled his art. But at what cost? One dawn, I found him asleep on the table, cheek on ink-smeared dialogue. "Romeo, thy love's a poison I drink willingly. Juliet, then let it kill us both." Swift and true, my heart twisted. I covered him with a blanket, kissing his temple, whispering, "Not us. Never." Freelance trickled in, a gig designing posters for a queer film fest. Small but steady. Paid rent. Barely. and Isaiah's workshop grant stretched thin. We budgeted like paupers. Dollar slice pizza, laundromats as date nights. Yet in scarcity, intimacy bloomed, whispers in the dark, bodies mapping forgiveness. Then the betrayal's echo struck back. Castmate, buzzed at after-rehearsal drinks. Let slip. Heard your boy's ex-boss is producing off-Broadway. Small world. Ha! Isaiah's face drained, pint slamming down. What? Back home. Storm brewing. He confronted me. Not angry, but wounded. Did you know? Is that why you ghosted after the firing? No. Panic surged. Isaiah. I swear. He paced, curls wild. It feels like strings. Elijah. Like I'm the fool in your plot. You're not. I grabbed his arms, grounding us. Marcus is poison. Cut him out. For us. I searching. He deflated. I want to believe you. God. I do. But trust. It's fragile. We made love then, desperate and devotional. His body arching under mine, gasps mingling with pleas. Stay. Just stay. Afterward, tangled and sweat slick, he traced my jaw. Let's get out. Weekend trip. Clear our heads. The Hudson Valley called a cheap Airbnb in Rhinebeck, leaves turning crimson like spilled wine. We drove upstate in my beat-up Civic. Windows down, indie playlist shuffling Bon Iver. The cabin was rustic charm, creaky porch, wood stove crackling, the river a silver thread below. Days blurred into idle, hikes through fern-choked trails, hands linked, apple picking at an orchard, cider-drunk kisses under gnarled branches. Nights, fire lit, he'd read new scenes, my critiques laced with love. Juliet's stronger here, I'd say. Like you. One evening, rain pattering the tin roof, we soaked in the clawfoot tub, bubbles foaming, his back to my chest. This, he murmured, head lolling. This is home. I nuzzled his neck, steam curling. Always, but on the drive back, reality intruded, a voicemail from Rita. The workshop was expanding potential producer interest, but Isaiah needed to commit fully, his face lit, then shadowed. Means more nights away. You okay? Lies tempted, but truth won. Scared, but proud. City lights reclaimed us, the bubble popping. My freelance dried again, client ghosting after a budget cut, and Isaiah's rehearsals intensified, our fire escape talk sparse. Tension simmered. My resentment at empty evenings, his guilt over scripts over supper. The climax brewed at the play's first staged reading, a black box affair, folding chairs and spotlights harsh as judgment. The house was packed. Friends, funders, that off-Broadway producer in the front row, tie loosened like a noose. Isaiah was electric, Juliet's monologues ripping hearts, betrayal scene a gut punch of subtext that mirrored our scars. Intermission, I slipped out for air, nerves jangling. Marcus was there, smoking by the alley dumpster, suit rumpled. Elijah. Small world. Fuck off. I turned, but he blocked. Cigarette glowing accusatory. Come on. Heard you're scraping by. I could. No. Fury ignited. You tried to ruin me. Stay away from him. From us. His laugh was silk over steel. Him? The barista playwright? Please. You're slumming, darling. Come back to the real world. I lunged, fist connecting with his jaw, crack echoing, blood blooming on his lip. Security swarmed, hauling me off as the crowd murmured. Isaiah burst out, eyes wide. Elijah? What the? Get him out, Marcus sneered, dabbing his mouth. Before he assaults someone important. Theater cleared me, banned. Rita's disappointment a knife. In the cab home, Isaiah silent. I broke. He threatened you. The play. I snapped. Isaiah's hand found mine. Squeeze forgiving but firm. Violence isn't us. But thank you for fighting. That night, barriers crumbled. We talked till dawn, fears, fractures, futures. I love you, he said, tears tracking. But we can't keep bleeding for this city. Let's leave, I whispered. Your cabin dream. Make it real. Winter clamped down on New York like a vice. Sidewalks slick with ice. Breaths clouding in the relentless chill. The staged readings fallout lingered. Rita kept Isaiah on, praising his grit. But the producer, smelling blood, lowballed the contract. It's exposure, she urged. Isaiah signed, eyes weary, but the fire dimmed. My own world shrank to survival mode. Temp gigs at ad agencies. Soul-crushing data entry that paid the heat but starved the soul. Nights, I'd trudge home to our shared lease now. His roommate's chaos traded for my quiet desperation. Finding Isaiah slumped over his laptop. Rewrites glowing blue. Hey, hero, he'd murmur, pulling me into a hug that smelled of ink and instant noodles. But cracks widened. Arguments flared over trifles. Forgotten dishes symbolizing neglect. Late texts igniting jealousy ghosts. You're pulling away again, he'd accuse, voice small. I'm right here, I'd counter. But distance echoed in the empty space between. The betrayal scar itched anew when an envelope arrived. Anonymous. Postmarked Tribeca. Inside photos. Grainy but damning. Me and Marcus. That night in his loft. Bodies blurred in passion's haze. A note in block print. Tell your boy. Or I will. Panic clawed. I burned them in the sink. Flames licking black edges. But ash couldn't erase the truth. Isaiah found me there. Acrid smoke curling. What the hell? Elijah. Nothing. Bad takeout. Lie tasted foul. His eyes narrowed. But exhaustion won. Fine. But no more secrets. Guilt festered. Tumor. I ramped up job hunts. Landing interviews that promised escape. Remote design for a Portland firm. Creative freedom without the concrete cage. Isaiah's play geared for full production. Fringe festival buzz building. This could be it, he said. Tickets printing like hope. Yet Marcus lurked. A call from an unknown number. His voice. Oily. Saw your little punch. Classy. Those pics. Insurance. Back off the theater. Or they go viral. Rage warred with fear. I changed numbers. But sleep evaded. Nightmares of exposure twisting like subway rails. Isaiah sensed it. His touches gentling. Talk, he'd plead. One blizzard night. Winds howling. Power flickering. It burst. Curled under quilts. Candlelight dancing. I confessed the photos. The threat. The unburnt shame. I didn't want to hurt you more. Isaiah stilled. Then pulled away. Face crumpling. More? Elijah. You think this is pain? It's betrayal squared. He stood, pacing the dim room. I forgave once. built us back. And you let this poison in. I was scared. Protecting us. By lying. Tears carved paths down his cheeks. God. I can't. Not again. He grabbed his coat, storming into the whiteout. I followed, barefoot on snow-slick stoop, shouting his name. Isaiah, please. He whirled, face feral in street lamp glow. You know what hurts? I see you always have. But you run to shadows when light's right here. The door slammed upstairs, lock clicking final. I sank to the steps, flakes melting on fevered skin, world collapsing inward. Days bled into isolation. Isaiah crashed with Lena, rehearsals his refuge. I drowned in work, Portland offer extended, relocation package gleaming. Temptation whispered, start over. Alone. But love stubborn. I wrote another letter, not on pizza box, but typed, poured, Isaiah, you're my compass, pointing true even when I veer. I fucked up again. But without you, the skyline's just buildings. Come back. Let me earn it. Delivered via Lena, who softened. He's wrecked. But he kept the first one. The play's opening loomed, Fringe Fest Gala, sold-out house in a repurposed church basement. I bought a ticket anonymously, front row shadows. Isaiah commanded the stage. Juliet's arc a revelation, subways pulsing with queer fury, betrayal's knife twisting in every glance. The final scene, lovers parted by tracks and treachery, Drew gasps, his curtain call thunderous. Post-show, reception hummed, critics scribbling, producers circling. I hovered at the bar, heart pounding, when Rita approached. You came. Good. He needs you. Does he? Hope fragile. She nodded toward the green room. Go. Isaiah leaned against the makeup mirror, flowers wilting in his lap, face makeup smeared like war paint. Our eyes met in the glass, his widening, mine pleading. Elijah. The door clicked shut behind me. Silence stretched, then shattered. You were incredible, I whispered. Thanks, wary, but softening. Letter. Hit hard. I meant it. And the job, Portland. They want me. But only if you come. New start. He laughed. Watery. Running again? Running to. With you. I stepped closer, hands trembling. No more lies. No detours. Just us. Writing the rest. Tears spilled. He crossed the room, crashing into me. Kiss bruising. Desperate. Forgiveness in every press. Idiot, he gasped. I can't lose you. You won't. Marcus's shadow loomed one last time. A final text. Photos attached. Last chance. I forwarded to a lawyer friend. Countersuit brewing for blackmail. He's done, I told Isaiah later. Over victory champagne. We win this. Spring thawed the city. Our lease broken for a sublet, temporary bridge to Portland. Isaiah's play got picked up for a run. Reviews raving. A heartbeat in the tunnels. We packed boxes mingled. My sketch pads with his scripts. Phoenix sketches beside compass tattoos. The night before departure. Fire escape vigil. Skyline twinkling farewell. Scared? He asked, head on my shoulder. Terrified. But with you, ready, his hand in mine. We watched the lights, monsters and magic. Portland greeted us with evergreens and rain that whispered instead of screamed. A soft landing after New York's cacophony. The firm hooked me up with a studio apartment overlooking the Willamette. Exposed beams and river views that felt like earned grace. Isaiah crashed the lease, his typewriter clacking on the breakfast bar. New play brewing. A road trip romance. Detours and destinations. Mornings were ritual, coffee steaming. Him reading drafts aloud while I sketched logos for eco-brands, clean lines. No illusions. This Juliet's echo, he'd say of a scene, and I'd nod, pride swelling. Evenings, we wandered Pearl District streets, food trucks sizzling, his arm around my waist unapologetic. Pride flags fluttered year-round here, a balm to old wounds. Healing wasn't linear. Nightmares still jerked me awake. Marcus's sneer, Isaiah's tears, and he'd soothe with stories, voice a anchor. Remember Coney? He'd murmur, fingers tracing my scars. Cotton candy kings, I'd laugh, pulling him closer. Always, the Portland queer scene embraced us. Open mics where Isaiah debuted monologues, drawing whoops, art walks where my prints sold to baristas with better hair. We joined a writers group, him sharing pages, me illustrating covers, community stitching us tighter. Betrayals ghost faded, but trust rebuilt deliberate. Weekly check-ins over Thai takeout. What's haunting today? No judgments, just space. Intimacy deepened, explorations lazy and loving. His body a landscape I'd never tire of mapping. One rainy afternoon, tangled in flannel sheets, he whispered, "You're my endgame, Elijah." No plot twists needed. Tears pricked. Ditto. Isaiah's play found a home. A small theater in the Alberta Arts District, queer-led and gritty. Opening night, house packed with locals in beanies and tattoos, his road trippers unraveling under spotlights. The betrayal arc. Lovers tested by side roads. Drew sniffles. His finale a vow renewed. Detours make the map ours. Curtain call. He scanned the crowd. Finding me center orchestra. Eyes locking. For my muse, he dedicated post-show, pulling me on stage amid cheers. The kiss spotlit, unscripted, tasted of victory, salt and sweet. Reviews glowed. A heartfelt odyssey for the wandering heart. Producers sniffed, but Isaiah waved them off. This one's for us. Next, who knows? Marcus's reckoning came quiet. My lawyer friend's nudge led to a settlement, hush money and a retraction. His career dented in whispers. I deleted the last photo folder. Isaiah's hand steady on mine. Burned, he said. Like bad drafts. Summer bloomed. Willamette lazy under bridges. We biked Forest Park trails. Picnics of cheese and cheap wine. His head in my lap as clouds drifted. Cabin, I teased one dusk. Fireflies winking. Soon, he grinned. Plots thickening. Fall brought change. My firm promoted me lead designer. Remote freedom intact. Isaiah's play extended. A second in the works, our story. Veiled. Artists fleeing concrete for rivers. Love's fractures mended in motion. We co-authored a scene, me scripting visuals. Him words, and Rita, visiting from New York. Hooped. You two? Unstoppable. Winter's first snow dusted the balcony. Us bundled in sweaters. Mulled wine steaming. He pulled an envelope from his pocket. Lease renewal. Scribbled margins. Forever? Heart full. I kissed him. Twist accepted. The city we'd fled felt distant. A chapter closed. Here, in Evergreen's embrace, We wrote a new, not endgame, but endless game. Whispers in the steam of morning showers echoed old dares. But now daring trust, "You're mine," he'd breathe, leaving me breathless and whole. And in that, the skyline, Portland's gentle peaks, held no monsters. Just us, redrawn and real,